Expert medical service is one of the many conveniences we take for granted today. The family doctor is as near as the telephone. Modern hospitals are minutes away. Service and facilities like this are reassurance to every housewife concerned about her family's health. There are times, of course, when a doctor is not available. Only a mother knows the panic of having an injured child and being unable to locate medical help quickly. In a national emergency, trained medical help may not be available. Hospitals may be piles of rubble. The wounded may be countless. Doctors few and far between. Protection of your family's health at times like this will fall directly upon your shoulders. In order to be prepared for such emergencies and to be self-reliant in handling everyday emergencies, you and the members of your family must know first aid and proper care of the sick and injured. At least one member of your family should take a complete Red Cross first aid course. The Red Cross, in cooperation with the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization, has a 10-hour course which can be given to any group of citizens. See about it right away. Your home needs a complete first aid kit. Again, your local civil defense officials will guide you. Get the leaflet, First Aid, Emergency Kit, Emergency Action. It will tell you what you need. When you have the necessary items, wrap them in a moisture-proof covering and place them in a box. Mark the contents on the cover and place the box in your shelter area. A copy of the first aid leaflet should be kept with the kit. Whether or not you have taken a first aid course, there are many things you can do to aid injured persons until help arrives. Keep the victim lying down, his head level with the rest of the body. If he has a head injury, raise his head slightly. Cover him and keep him warm. Don't move him unless absolutely necessary to save his life. If possible, call a doctor. Examine the victim. If he is not severely burned, suffocating, in state of shock, or in danger of bleeding to death, leave him for a trained first aider. Reassure him and keep him comfortable. Don't give an unconscious or semi-conscious person anything to drink. Don't let an injured person see his wound. After you have observed those general rules, further action may be necessary. If the problem is bleeding, fashion a pad from a first aid dressing or clean cloth and apply it directly over the wound. When the bleeding has subsided, add extra layers of cloth and bandage firmly. Then leave the dressing alone. Do not use a tourniquet except as a last resort. In the case of burns, remove the clothing from the burned areas if you can. Cover the burned area with a dressing and bandage snugly to keep out the air. Do not use grease or ointment except on a doctor's orders. Chemical burns from acid or lye should be washed before covering. Persons with broken bones should never be moved unless necessary. Apply an ice bag to the injured area to relieve the pain. If the victim must be moved, splint the broken bone so the broken ends are quiet and the adjacent joints are quiet. A board, thick bundle of papers, or pillow will do. If you use boards, be sure to pad them. Tie the splint firmly on both sides of the break, but not so tight as to cut off circulation. If the break is in the hand, arm, or shoulder, splint the bones and support the victim's arm in a sling made from a triangular bandage, a scarf, towel, or torn sheet. If you suspect someone has a broken back or broken neck and he must be moved, slide him gently onto a wide board, a door or ironing board, for instance. After you have moved him, do not disturb him further until help arrives. If a broken bone has punctured the skin, cover the wound with a dressing and control the bleeding by hand pressure. Some degree of shock follows all injury. Keep the victim's head level with or lower than the rest of his body, unless he has a head injury. Keep him warm, but not too warm. If he can swallow, let him sip water with salt and baking soda added. 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda to 1 quart of water will help prevent shock. But if he is vomiting or semi-conscious or suffering from an abdominal wound, do not give him anything by mouth. Suffocation may be caused by electric shock, drowning, or breathing liquids, smoke, or gas. The victim's face may turn purple and lips and fingernails blue. You must act at once. If the victim is in a room filled with gas, smoke, or water, get her out quickly. If the victim is in contact with a live wire, don't touch him. Shut off the current if you can. If not, stand on a dry piece of wood or paper and push the wire away with a long, dry stick or other non-metallic object. Remove any objects from his mouth that may obstruct breathing, and then apply some form of artificial respiration. Since the mouth-to-mouth technique is the most practical method, we will describe it here. Tilt the head back so the chin is pointing upward. Pull or push the jaw into a jutting-out position to relieve obstruction of the airway by moving the base of the tongue away from the back of the throat. Open your mouth wide and place it tightly over the victim's mouth. At the same time, pinch the victim's nostrils shut. Blow into mouth. When his lungs have been inflated, remove your mouth and allow the lungs to empty. Repeat this cycle at the rate of about 20 breaths per minute for a child, 12 for an adult. First aid may not be the end of your responsibility. Since medical facilities will be severely strained in an emergency, you may have to nurse members of your own family back to health. Once again, preparation will count. Just as someone in your family should have Red Cross first aid training, so at least one member should be formally trained in care of the sick and injured. The Red Cross has a course. See that someone in your family is registered immediately. Your local civil defense or Red Cross officials will give you a list of supplies you should have for home nursing. Make the various members of your family responsible for keeping enough linen, soap, talcum, and other necessities on hand. Making beds is old hat, but how about when someone is in them? This takes a little practice. Cover the patient with a blanket or robe during the process and move him to one side of the bed. Roll the soiled sheet off to the middle of the bed and put the clean one on. Then move the patient back to the other side of the bed, remove the soiled sheet, and finish tucking in the clean one. Bedridden patients should be moved at least once a day. It relaxes them, prevents stiffness and bed sores, and too much pressure on any one part of the body. When moving a patient, be sure that you keep a good posture so as not to injure yourself. Guide the patient's movements instead of trying to do it all yourself. When a patient must be confined to his bed for some time, alcohol back rubs will protect the skin, aid circulation, and prevent bed sores. Warm the alcohol in a basin of water. Tuck a towel lengthwise close to the patient's body. With a little alcohol on your palms, rub the patient's back, shoulders, and buttocks in long, firm strokes. When your hands become dry, wet them with alcohol again. Continue for 3 minutes. Then dry the patient's back and rub a little talcum on it. Bedridden patients also must be bathed regularly. It not only cleanses but relaxes and stimulates them. Before starting the bath, be sure that everything you need is at the bedside: a basin, hot water, towels and washcloths, soap, and so on. Be sure the room is free of drafts. Cover the patient with a lightweight blanket, and then from under it, remove the bedsheet and pajamas or gown. To keep the patient warm, uncover only one part of the body at a time. Wash, rinse, and dry the part well, and then cover it immediately. Fold your washcloth into a mitten. This will keep the cloth from dragging across the patient or from dripping water on the bedclothes. Start by washing the face, neck, and ears, then the shoulders, arms, and hands. Next, wash the chest and abdomen, dry and cover with the blanket. Then, uncovering one leg at a time, wash the legs and feet. Be sure to wash and dry beneath the toes. Give special attention to the skin throughout the bath, especially on the back, shoulders, heels, and elbows, and under the breasts of women patients. In caring for your patient, as in first aid, it is preparation that counts. Remember that you are dealing with your most precious possession, your family's health. I know that you want to do everything in your power to protect it. Start right away, then. Enroll at least one member of your family in the Red Cross First Aid and Care of the Sick and Injured courses. Everyone should take them if possible. Assemble your home first aid kit. Your civil defense officials will help you. Package the materials so they will be immediately available. Practice your first aid measures at home. You should have regular practices at least once every 3 months. Make them a family project. The children will love them. Remember the basic rules for dealing with an injured person. Keep the victim lying down. Keep him warm, and do not move him unless it is necessary to save his life. Reassure him and keep him comfortable. Take whatever measures you must to keep him alive and comfortable until trained help arrives. The speed with which you act may well be the deciding factor in the survival of a loved one. If you master just the simple techniques you have seen here, your reward will be confidence in your ability to protect your family in an emergency, in time of war and peace.